Hey there and welcome back to Tube Guruji channel. Today in this video we are going to build an AI logo maker application with the help of React, Next.js, Tailwind CSS, Gemini API, Hugging Face API model and Firebase in order to build this full stack application. With the help of AI logo maker application, you can build and customize logo for your brand application. This is the perfect application where you can learn a lot of different tech stack, and if you are a beginner then this is one of the best app to start with. Now let's walk through the application first and then we'll start building this complete full stack application. If you see, we have this beautiful landing screen. At the top we have a header section, then we have this hero section along with the option to add a logo name, and after clicking that it will get started to build the application logo. Then we have this beautiful logo created with the help of this AI logo maker. Now let's create some logo. Here we'll say Indian Spice. So let's say this is the restaurant. For that one we want to create a logo. We'll say get started. Here automatically logo title will come up. Then after clicking continue, application will ask you to enter some information about this logo. So here we'll say Indian restaurant, then we'll say continue. Then you have option to select the color palette. So we'll select the color palette. After that you will select the different logo style. You have this cartoon style, modern, mascot logo, vintage, and there are a lot. I'm going to tell you how can we easily add this all the style along with the AI prompt. So let's select this modern mascot logo and we'll say continue. Now with the help of Gemini AI, it will generate some idea. Obviously you can select the any idea which you want, or you can let AI select the best idea for your logo. Then we'll say continue. Here you will see the two AI model. One is completely free and you can generate unlimited logo, but the wait time is up to 30 seconds to 3 minutes, okay, and the quality is not good obviously, but you can generate for free. But there is another model where you will get the response within a 10 second, but we have limit up to only 5 credits, okay. So let's generate with this premium section and I will say generate free. Now we have this beautiful loading screen and we'll wait to finish logo generation. We have this beautiful logo generated for our brand called Indian Spice. Now obviously you have option to download this logo, or you can go back to the dashboard where you can anytime go back and see your logo over here. See how beautiful, right? Not only that, but on the dashboard you can see how many credits left. Obviously you have option to create a new logo, and anytime you can access your logo which you generated previously. How cool. Now this complete application is responsive friendly. So even though you are on mobile, you can generate the logo with the help of mobile view or mobile browser or in any kind of or size of browser. Now this complete application we are going to build it from the scratch. If you are new to the Next.js or any tech stack, don't worry, because I am going to teach you everything from the basic. Starting from setting up the project, then generating this all the UI screens, and then integrating the Firebase database as our backend, and integrating the Gemini AI model. Everything we're gonna learn in this particular video. So if you are new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, press like button, press notification bell icon so you will not miss any update from me. So guys, without doing any further delay, let's begin to develop this AI logo maker application. So in order to create the React application, we are going to use a Next.js, which is the React framework to develop the web application. Next.js provides a lot of different features, and that's the reason we are going to use a Next.js. So let's go to this nextjs.org, and over here you will see this command npx create next app at latest will create the Next.js application for you. So simply go to the folder where you want to create a project, open a terminal at that folder. If you are using the Windows system, then make sure to open the command prompt at that folder and then simply just type npx create next app at latest. Now add latest will install the latest version of the Next.js application. Once you install, it will ask you, do you want to proceed? Say yes, and then it will ask you to enter the project name. So over here we'll say AI logo generator. Click enter. Then would you like to use TypeScript? Say no. The ESLint, say no. And the Tailwind CSS, say yes, because we are going to use a Tailwind CSS. And the source directory, say no. And the app router, which is recommended and which is quite helpful in order to develop any web application. So say yes, and turbo pack, say no. And import alias as well no. And then if you see, it started installing some dependency like React, React DOM, Neck, which is the basic and important dependency, and some dev dependency for a Tailwind CSS as well. Now, once our project created, you will see this success message, and then simply close this window and then open the VS Code. Once you open the VS Code, open a folder where you just created this particular project. And over here you will see on the left hand side in the file explorer with the different files and folder get created. Now whatever code and the pages route which we are going to create inside this app folder, okay, and inside that you will see we have the global CSS file which is applicable to all the application. Whenever you provide any CSS code over here, it will applicable to all the application. Then we have layout.js file, which is the root layout of your application, which contain the HTML and body tag, and through this one all your pages going to render. It also contain the metadata, which is quite helpful when you want to implement the SEO for your application. Then we have page.js, which is the default page, and if you see, we have the default code written inside this page.js file. Now once we run the application, you will get to know much better. Then we have public folder, which contain all the files, assets which you want to store inside locally inside your project. Then we have next.config.mjs file, which contain the configuration related to your Next.js application. Then we have package.json, which contain the name, version of your application, the script to run your application or to build your application, and here you will see the dependency along with the version related to each of the package. And then we have dev dependency section as well. And the last, which is the Tailwind CSS configuration. So whenever you want any Tailwind CSS applicable to some specific folder, you can just mention that part over here. Now simply go to the terminal, click new terminal, and over here just type npm run dev, which will run your application on the port local 3000. Okay, now open this URL inside the browser, and then you will see your application will get rendered over here. How cool, right? Obviously over here this is the default page of your application. Then simply go to this page.js file over here. I will just remove all of this default code and I will simply add the div tag over here. Let's add the h2 tag and we'll say subscribe to Tube Guruji. So guys, if you did not subscribe to our channel, please do subscribe. And if I go over here, you will see as soon as I save the file, the changes are reflected inside the browser page. Cool, right? So that's how guys you can create the Next.js application and run the application at very first time. Now next important thing that we want to set up is this UI based or Tailwind CSS based component library called ShadCN. ShadCN is very popular among the developers in order to build web application much faster with these pre-existing components. Now if you never used it, don't worry. First let's go to this ui.shadcn.com, then simply click get started, and here over installation section you will see the Next.js as a framework. Let's select it and then make sure you will select the npm. If you are using any other, just select different one then, and then copy this command which will initialize the ShadCN inside your project. So open a terminal. I will add a new terminal and simply paste this code. Say yes, do you want to proceed, and then it will ask you to select the style. I will select the New York, but you can also select default, doesn't matter. Then you can select the base color. I will keep it neutral. And here it will ask you, do you want to CSS variable for theming? Say yes. And it asks you to install this library forcefully, because right now we are using React 19 and Shatcyan is working on React 19. So you can just say use force dash use force, and then it will install the Shatcyan into your project. Okay. Now once you initialize the Shatcyan, you will see some changes into your file explorer. The first change, you will see that new folder get added called lib, and inside that we have util.js file, and then another is the component.json, which contain the configuration related to the Shatcyan. Obviously for both the folder we are not going to touch any time. Now let's install some component. Now over here if you scroll down, you will see a different bunch of components. Now let's select the button, and here you will see the button. This is how it looks like. You can also see the code, but for the installation you need to copy this command and simply paste it here. Now whenever you use any component or you want to use any component, make sure that you have to install each of the component from the Shatcyan. Now once you install this component, the new folder will get added called component, and under that you have UI folder, and inside that you will see the button.jsx file. Obviously this is the predefined code by Shatcyan, and you are able to customize this one as well according to your requirement. Now simply over here I will add a new button, and inside that button will say, let's say subscribe, and then save it. Make sure once you add the button, it is get imported from this particular path, and then if I go back to our application, you will see this beautiful button, right? So you don't need to provide any padding, margin for this button. It automatically get displayed through this Shatcyan component. Now this is the neutral color, which is kind of black color, and if you want to change the primary color of your all the components, simply go to the tailwind.config.js, and under this color section, because this all the color or base colors get added from the Shatcyan when you install it, so you have option to edit this primary color as well. Simply I will remove this one and I will add the hex code. So simply I will add ed1e 61. Okay, so this is kind of pinkish, dark pinkish color. So save it, and if I save, you will see this beautiful color get updated. Now whenever you install any Shatcyan component, it will keep this color for all of them, and our application will be in one single theme color, and that's look pretty good. And obviously you can apply or change any color from this or inside this tailwind.config.js file. Okay. So in order to create the React application, we are going to use a Next.js, which is the React framework to develop the web application. Next.js provides a lot of different features, and that's the reason we are going to use a Next.js. So let's go to this nextjs.org, and over here you will see this command npx create next app at latest will create the Next.js application for you. So simply go to the folder where you want to create a project, open a terminal at that folder. If you are using the Windows system, then make sure to open the command prompt at that folder, and then simply just type npx create next app at latest. Now at latest will install the latest version of the Next.js application. Once you install, it will ask you, do you want to proceed? Say yes, and then it will ask you to enter the project name. So over here we'll say AI logo generator. Click enter. Then would you like to use TypeScript? Say no. The ESLint, say no, and the Tailwind CSS, say yes, because we are going to use a Tailwind CSS. And the source directory, say no, and the app router, which is recommended and which is quite helpful in order to develop any web application. So say yes, and turbo pack, say no, and import alias as well no. And then if you see it started installing some dependency like React, React DOM, Neck, which is the basic and important dependency, and some dev dependency for a Tailwind CSS as well. Now once our project created, you will see this success message, and then simply close this window and then open the VS Code. Once you open the VS Code, open a folder where you just created this particular project. And over here you will see on the left hand side in the file explorer with the different files and folder get created. Now whatever code and the pages route which we are going to create inside this app folder, okay, and inside that you will see we have the global CSS file which is applicable to all the application. Whenever you provide any CSS code over here, it will applicable to all the application. Then we have layout.js file which is the root layout of your application, which contain the HTML and body tag, and through this one all your pages going to render. It also contain the metadata which is quite helpful when you want to implement the SEO for your application. Then we have page.js which is the default page, and if you see we have the default code written inside this page.js file. Now once we run the application you will get to know much better. Then we have public folder which contain all the files, assets which you want to store inside locally inside your project. Then we have next.config.mjs file which contain the configuration related to your Next.js application. Then we have package.json which contain the name, version of your application, the script to run your application or to build your application, and here you will see the dependency along with the version related to each of the package. And then we have dev dependency section as well. And the last, which is the Tailwind CSS configuration. So whenever you want any Tailwind CSS applicable to some specific folder, you can just mention that part over here. Now simply go to the terminal, click new terminal, and over here just type npm run dev, which will run your application on the port local 3000. Okay, now open this URL inside the browser, and then you will see your application will get rendered over here. How cool, right? Obviously over here this is the default page of your application. Then simply go to this page.js file over here. I will just remove all of this default code and I will simply add the div tag over here. Let's add the h2 tag and we'll say subscribe to Tube Guruji. So guys, if you did not subscribe to our channel, please do subscribe. And if I go over here, you will see as soon as I save the file, the changes are reflected inside the browser page. Cool, right? So that's how guys you can create the Next.js application and run the application at very first time. Now next important thing that we want to set up is this UI based or Tailwind CSS based component library called ShadCN. ShadCN is very popular among the developers in order to build web application much faster with these pre-existing components. Now if you never used it, don't worry. First let's go to this ui.shadcn.com, then simply click get started, and here over installation section you will see the Next.js as a framework. Let's select it and then make sure you will select the npm. If you are using any other, just select different one then, and then copy this command which will initialize the ShadCN inside your project. So open a terminal. I will add a new terminal and simply paste this code. Say yes, do you want to proceed, and then it will ask you to select the style. I will select the New York, but you can also select default, doesn't matter. Then you can select the base color. I will keep it neutral, and here it will ask you, do you want to CSS variable for theming? Say yes, and it asks you to install this library forcefully, because right now we are using React 19 and ShadCN is working on React 19. So you can just say use force -- use force, and then it will install the ShadCN into your project. Okay, now once you initialize the ShadCN, you will see some changes into your file explorer. The first change, you will see that new folder get added called lib, and inside that we have util.js file, and then another is the component.json which contain the configuration related to the ShadCN. Obviously for both the folder we are not going to touch any time. Now let's install some component. Now over here if you scroll down you will see a different bunch of components. Now let's select the button, and here you will see the button. This is how it looks like. You can also see the code, but for the installation you need to copy this command and simply paste it here. Now whenever you use any component or you want to use any component, make sure that you have to install each of the component from the shared CN. Now once you install this component, the new folder will get add called component, and under that you have UI folder, and inside that you will see the button.jsx file. Obviously this is the predefined code by shared CN, and you are able to customize this one as well according to your requirement. Now simply over here I will add a new button, and inside that button will say, let's say subscribe, and then save it. Make sure once you add the button, it is get imported from this particular path, and then if I go back to our application, you will see this beautiful button, right? So you don't need to provide any padding, margin for this button. It automatically get displayed through this shared CN component. Now this is the neutral color, which is kind of black color, and if you want to change the primary color of your all the components, simply go to the tailwind.config.js, and under this color section, because this all the color or base colors get added from the shared CN when you install it, so you have option to edit this primary color as well. Simply I will remove this one and I will add the hex code. So simply I will add ed1e 61. Okay, so this is kind of pinkish, dark pinkish color. So save it, and if I save, you will see this beautiful color get updated. Now whenever you install any shared CN component, it will keep this color for all of them, and our application will be in one single theme color, and that's look pretty good. And obviously you can apply or change any color from this or inside this tailwind.config.js file. Okay. Now it's time to build the landing screen for our application. If you see on this mockup, we have the header, and then we have this clean and simple hero section. On this one, we are going to provide this text, and along with that, we're going to give option user to enter his business name, application name, or logo name, and the button in order to get started. Same button we also have over here called get started. Okay. Now this hero section will be constant throughout the application. So we want this hero section throughout the application, and that's the reason we'll keep this inside the layout file. So let's go back to our application, and first thing I'm going to do is to create a new file called provider, so that we can keep this file on the client side. Okay, and we'll keep this layout.js on the server side only. Now simply I'm going to add a default template, and over here I will say provider. In that provider we'll pass the children, and all the pages and children now we are going to render through this children or through this provider. Okay, now import this provider inside the layout.js like this, and in that we'll pass these children. Okay, and save it. Now on the screen, if I refresh it, you will see no changes. Okay, only thing that we added the provider, so that if you want to make this on the client side, we can do that. Now in order to add a header and the hero section, for that one we'll create a new component inside this app folder, and we'll create a new file called components. Now all the components which is common to our application will keep inside this folder. So first we'll say header.jsx, add a default template, and then save it. Now simply go to the page.js file, and I will remove this, and also inside the provider we want to add this header like this, and then save it. Now let's go to this header component, and first thing we need to do is to add a logo. So on the Google I will just search logo placeholder, and you can get the any SVG logo from anywhere. Okay, and I will copy the one of the logo. So let me search some unique logo which is matching with our application. So I will use this logo, click on it, it will copy the SVG, and then go to the public folder, create a new file called logo.svg, and simply paste this line of code which you copied. Now over here we'll say image, source, and inside that we'll say logo.svg. Now we'll give alt tag as a logo, we'll give a width, let's say 180 and height 100, and then save it. Now over here you will see the logo is now displaying on the screen. Now for this div we'll add a class name, then we'll make padding x to 10. On the large screen we'll give padding x to 32. On extra large screen we'll give padding x to 48, and when the screen size is 2XL we'll give a padding x to 56, which make our application or header more responsive. Now if I save it, you will see the change. Also over here we'll give padding to 4. Then next thing we want to add a button. So over here we'll say button and simply we'll say get started, and then save it. Now if I go back, this is how it will look like. Obviously we want to bring this on the right hand side. So for that one we'll add a flex, justify between, and make sure add item center, so it will be in one horizontal line, okay, or means vertically will be in the center of the screen. Now if you want to add some shadow, you can just add, let's add a shadow small, so you will see this horizontal line, okay, and that's how our header is now ready. And if I go to the inspect panel and change this size, you will see it automatically change the padding as well, okay. Now next we'll add a hero section, and for that one we'll simply add a new component called hero.jsx, add a default template and save it. Now this hero component we want to add on the home screen, so simply I will import over here as a hero. And also now throughout the application we want to give the similar padding which we gave to the header. So if you copy this all the padding like this, and then go to this provider.jsx and we'll wrap this children over here, we'll add a class name with this padding, and then we'll keep the children inside this folder, so that it will applicable to all the pages which going to render inside our application. Now if I go, you will see this hero is now aligned with the header as well. Now let's go to this hero section and let's implement it. I will close all of this tab. Now first thing we want to add h2 tag. Now all this text and whatever the description, small description lines we have, we will keep inside one folder, or sorry, inside one file and folder obviously. So let's create a new folder under this app and we'll call it as a underscore data. Inside this data we'll create a new file called lookup.jsx, and inside that we'll simply, I already copied, so I will simply paste this, so which I have hero heading, the hero subheading and a hero description. Now in order to display it, you just need to add lookup.hero heading and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, you will see this text. Same thing you need to do for the hero subheading, and then we'll add a p tag for lookup dot hero sub description. Oops, sorry, hero description, and then save it. Now if I go back, this is how it will look. Now obviously we'll give some padding and all. So first thing for this div, we'll add a class name, we'll make it flex, item to be in the center, and we'll give margin top to 32. Also we'll make this flex column, so it will be in one line, and then we'll give gap of 5. Now if I go back, if you see, now it is center of the screen. Now let's apply some styling to each of the tag, so or each of the titles. So over here we'll add a class name. Now first we'll make this color as a primary, then we'll make the text size of 5XL, and we'll make text to be in the center of the screen. Also let's make font bold and then save it. Perfect. Same thing I'm going to apply for this subheading. So I will just copy everything except the color. We'll add a class name and boom. And the last we have this paragraph or description. For that one we'll add a class name. We'll make text larger, then text gray is of 500, so this is the color which I provide, and then we'll make text to be in the center of the screen. Perfect, right? So this is how you can update and apply some styling. Now next thing, we want to add an input field. So simply I'm going to use my own input field and we are going to apply some styling to that one. So first we'll add input. In that one we'll provide the placeholder, and in that placeholder we'll simply we can add a lookup over here. So we'll say title or input title placeholder. Okay, and over here we'll say enter your logo name, something like this. Okay, then copy this, save it, and over here I will just use lookup dot input title placeholder. If I save this one, you will see the text and I can able to enter it, but let's apply some styling to that one. So simply we'll add a class name. First we'll add a padding of 3, then we'll add a border. We'll make border rounded with medium size. We'll make width to be full, and we'll add some shadow medium, and boom, how beautiful. Next we'll add a button to this. So we'll add a button, and to this button we'll simply say get started and then save it. Okay, now let's bring everything in one line. So for this div we'll add a class name. We'll make it flex gap of, let's say, 6. We'll make width full, and we'll make maximum width to 2XL. Okay, so we don't want the it's complete to fill the complete width, so we'll provide the maximum width and we'll give margin top to 10. Perfect. Now let's change the size of this particular button. So over here we'll add a class name for the button, and then we'll say width to be full and height, or sorry, we'll add a padding to 6, so it will matches with this one. Perfect. And over here we'll change this to, let's say, 24. Okay, perfect. And that's how our landing screen is now ready. Now obviously there are some of the content you can add it later on, and I'm going to do that at the end of this tutorial so that it will look much better. Now next thing that we are going to update is the font for our application. Currently this font look very common. So simply go to the Google Fonts, and whichever font you like it, just select that font. Okay, now let's select for example I want to use this host grotesque. Okay, yeah, I think grotesque. Okay, so this font I want to use it, and so simply let's go to our application inside the layout.js file, and if you see we have some default fonts, so I will remove all of them, and from the Google font only we can import this host grotesque font. And if you see, as soon as I type it, I am getting this suggestion. Now over here we'll say constant host grotesque. I will give this name, make sure it's different from this name. Okay, because this is just a constant that we are defining. Then the font name, and inside that you need to provide a subset. Okay, and then provide the Latin. Then in order to use it, I will save it, and let's remove all of this class name from the body, and we'll add our own class name, and inside that we'll say grotesque dot class name. Okay, because that's what we define here as a constant, and then simply save it. Now as soon as you save it, you will see the changes inside our application font. Cool, right? And that's why that's how you can update the font for our application, and now it's applicable to all the text which we are going to display on our application. Now on the click of the get started, after entering the logo name, we want to navigate to the new screen, and we can call it as a or that route we can call it as a slash create. In that route we are going to add some different options. Okay, so if you see this mockup, right, first thing, obviously user have option to enter the logo, then user will click continue, then next component will pop up with the option to add a description and so on. Okay, and these are some of the input that we need to get from the user. The first, which is the title, obviously, then the logo description, the logo color palette. So we are going to provide the palettes over here, something like this, and once user click any of the palette, obviously we will save that one. Then the logo design, these are some options which we are going to provide, and I'm going to provide all the material for this one. After that, with the help of AI and with the help of these 4 options, we are going to generate some logo design idea, some basic idea. So if you see some of the idea, like depends on the user selection, here you will see some ideas. Okay, user have option to select one of them, or user also have option, let's AI select his option, and then finally we are going to generate the AI prompt in order to generate the logo. Okay, and obviously we are going to implement step by step, but the main thing over here that we need to display all of this information in one route. Okay, only depends on the user active state. Okay, means after clicking user continue, then only we have to change this component. So in order to implement, let's go back, and first thing we need to do is to create a new route. So inside the app folder we'll create a new folder called create in order to create a new route, and inside that we'll create a page.jsx file. Now this will be a new route. Okay, if I add the new template, here we say create logo, and then we'll save this. And if I go back now to our application, and if I go to this new route called /create, you will see the text create logo, and it means our new route is now working. Now obviously whatever you enter on the landing screen, the name of the logo, and once user click on get started, we have to make sure that this particular name will pass to this next page. Okay, so simply, obviously we need to pass the query parameter, something like this. So over here we will say something like this, right, and this is how we need to pass it. So in order to do that, let's go back, and first thing we need to do is to get the user entered value from the hero section. From the input, obviously we need to save the user entered information. So here we'll say constant logo title comma set logo title is equal to use state, and on the click of input, obviously here we have method called onChange which will emit the event, and then simply we'll set the logo title. So over here we'll say event dot target dot value, simply, right? Perfect. Now let's save this one, and for this button I'm going to wrap this button inside the link tag, which is similar like a anchor tag inside the HTML. Okay, inside the Next.js they use link, and make sure it is importing from the next/link, and over here we'll navigate to this route called create. But along with that we need to pass the, and we can name it as just title is equal to, and then we'll pass the state in which we save this title. Okay, something like this, and then save it. Now if I go back, obviously we use state over here, so you have to make this component on the client side. Okay, let me clean this one, and if I click, let's go to the home screen now, and if I enter something, let's say tube guruji, and click get started, over here inside the query parameter you will see the text tube guruji is getting passed. Perfect. Now on this screen, first let's design the UI. So simply we have the header, the description, and then input box. But if you see in all this mockup, there are one thing are common, the title and the description, and everywhere the font and the size color is everywhere it's same, right? So better we can keep this information in different component, and in that component we are just pass the information. So let's do that. So first thing, obviously I'm going to create a new folder called underscore component, and all the component related to this create page will keep inside this, and here we'll say logo title dot jsx component. Add a default template and then save it. Now obviously this logo title I'm going to show. Let's import it over here. Okay, and save this. Let's create another component. We'll call heading description dot jsx. Okay, now inside this, as I say, we want to pass the title and the description. So it will accept two parameters. One is title and other is the description. So first inside the logo title I am going to import that. So over here we'll say logo title and save it. Now if I go back to our application, so not logo title, this need to be an heading description. Okay, and the text is showing. Obviously we'll give some margin from the top. So over here we'll say margin top, or we can say margin y to 10, something like this. Okay, first we'll pass the title. Now inside my lookup.jsx file I also added all of these string value. So obviously I'm going to access lookup title and lookup title description from here. So we'll say lookup dot logo title. Okay, and another thing that we want to pass is the description. So we'll pass description as lookup dot logo description, logo title description, and then save it. If I refresh the screen, obviously nothing is displaying because we just passed, but we need to make sure to render inside this heading description. So we'll add h2 tag. Inside that we want to add a title, and the next we will add a p tag for the description. Now for this h2 tag we'll add a class name. Here we'll say font bold, text is of 2, let's make it 3XL, and we'll make text is of primary color. And for the description we'll add a text large and text gray 500. Okay, we'll also give margin top to 2 and then save it. Now if I go back, you will see this beautiful title and the description is rendering. Also let's add some padding to the page.jsx file. So over here we'll add a class name, margin top to let's say 28, then we'll add a padding of 10, and we'll add a border with a rounded corner XL, and when the screen size is extra larger we'll give margin X to 72. Okay, and then save it, and this is how it will look like. Perfect. Next we need to add an input field. So let's do that, but before that on this page.jsx we also want to add a two button, one for previous and one for the next, right? So let's add that one too. So over here we'll say div, inside that we'll add a button, this button for the previous. Also I'm going to add a icon from the Lucid. So over here we'll say arrow left, and we'll add another button, we'll say continue, and here we'll just change this to arrow right. For this particular button we'll add a variant as outline because I want outline only, and then save it. Now if I go back you will see these two buttons. Now we want one button on the left and one on the right, so simply we'll add a class name, we'll make it flex, item to be in the center, and we'll make justify between. So one on the left and one on the right. Perfect. If you want you can add margin top to 10. Okay. Next for the logo title obviously we want to add an input field. So let's go to this logo title, and over here we want an input field. So I will add input of type text, Then we'll add a placeholder. We'll say I think we have already over here input title placeholder. We can call it as lookup dot input title placeholder and then save it. So over here our input is displaying. Now let's add some styling to this one. So we'll add padding to 4, then we'll add a border, we'll make rounded large and margin top to 5, and we'll also make width to be full, okay, and then save it. And that's how our input will look like. Perfect. Now whatever title we have inside the parameter, okay, which we are entered from the landing screen, we want to make sure if there is a parameter we have to display it on this particular input box, okay. So simply we can provide a default value over here, and then we need to get that parameter. Now in order to get the parameter, you just need to add constant search param is equal to use search param, okay. So this particular hook from the next/navigation you need to import, and then in order to get the title, so here we'll say title is equal to search params dot get, and then you need to pass the name of the parameter, which is title, and then you can simply pass this default value over here, okay. Also in order to get the user entered input value, so you have to write constant, and we'll say okay, let's do one thing. We'll say a logo title. I will say just title for now. So title comma set title is equal to use state, and obviously default value will provide this one, okay. And if it's not there, then it will be provided as a empty, okay. And obviously we pass the default value over here. We need to add on change method, and inside this on change we'll write on handle input change method, and to this one we are going to pass event. So here we'll say event dot target dot value. Now this method we are going to pass back to the parent component, okay, and then save it. Now if I go back over here, we have error that we use state. So let's make this component on the client side, okay. Now next thing, as I say, right, as per this mockup, on the click of the next button we need to go to the next step and so on. Obviously inside the create page we have a lot of different components like this, right. So to manage this, here we'll say step comma set step is equal to use state, and initially it will be on the step 1. Now we'll simply write a condition. If step is equal to 1, then we'll show the logo title component, right. If step 2, then we'll write another component and so on, right. So over here we'll say if step is equal to 2, then we'll provide another component, right. But for now we don't have component, so I will provide it as a null. And from the logo title, whenever user enters some value, we have the on handle input change, and then we'll call the similar method. Obviously I'm going to create over here, which will accept the fill and value and the arrow function. Now over here obviously it will return the value v, and inside the handle input change will provide the field name as a title and the value v. Perfect, right. And obviously inside here, inside the form data state, we'll save the value. So over here we'll simply set form data as previous value, then inside that we'll restructure the previous value along with the new field and the respective value. Perfect, okay. So every time whenever even though if you go back and change to specific field value, then it will update only that field, and it will keep the all your existing selection as well. Now whenever you are on the first step, right, we don't need to show the previous button, right. So over here we'll say if step is not equal to 1, then don't show this previous button. If step is greater than 1, then only show, and then save it. So right now if I go back, okay, so over here as well we need to convert this into a client. And if you see, now we only have the continue button, right? And on the click of this button we need to increase the step count. So simply I will add on click method, and we'll say set step is equal to step plus 1. Same thing you need to do for the previous button, except adding plus 1 we are decrease the value. So here we'll say -1. And if I go to this, or if I click this one, see it going to the next page. If I click previous, it come back to this particular component. Cool, right? Now obviously we need to create some more components. So first let's create all the components which we required. So here we'll say logo description.jsx. Let's add a default template. Next we want to add a new called logo color palette .jsx, and we'll add default template. After that the logo designs.jsx, add a default template, and the last logo idea. So over here we'll say logo idea.jsx and then add a default template. Perfect. Now we have all the components ready, and simply now go to this page.jsx file, and inside here I will add a condition. So let me bring this down, or maybe we can close this. And next thing, obviously here we'll say if step is equal to 2, then show the logo description component. If step is equal to, or yeah, step over here I think we need to add a step is equal to 3, then show logo color palette. So logo palette will say make sure you are adding all this operator correctly. Then if step is equal to 4, then we'll add a logo design component, and last if step is equal to 5, then we'll add logo idea. Otherwise we are showing as a null. Okay, now for all of this we are need to add this handle input change, and obviously here make sure you are updating this description as well. So over here we'll say palette, then for this one we'll say design, and the last we have the idea. Okay, so all of this field we are capturing, and obviously this field value we need to accept it from the each of this component. But before that let me show you. So if I click continue, you will see the logo description, next logo palette, on click of continue we have logo design, logo idea, and if I click previous you will see all the components. Now next thing after the logo title is the description of the logo, where user can enter what kind of logo or what are the category of the logo for which he want to design it, and which is quite similar to this logo title if you see, right? So let's go to this logo description component, and first thing over here I will add a margin Y to 10 because that's how we added to the logo title as well. Then we need to provide the heading and the description. So here we'll add heading description component. To this component we'll provide the title from the lookup dot logo description title, and other is description as lookup dot logo description, and then save it. Now if I go back and go to the next screen, you will see, oh, let me refresh this once. If I go to the next screen, this is our description and the title. Perfect. Obviously after that I will copy the same input field and we'll paste it here. Here we don't need to provide the default value, okay, so just remove it because only for the title we want to provide. And then we have this on handle input change, which I'm going to pass back to the parent component and then save it. Just for your information, I'm going to console over here with the form data so that you will get to know what is returning. So if I go to the inspect panel and go to the console, let me clean all of these. Here we'll say, let's say Indian Restro. See, okay. If I go to the previous screen, here we'll say Tube Guruji, continue. Oh, now here we'll say Indian Restro, and then in the form data you will see both the field. Cool, right? So that's how you need to accept. And because we are reusing the components, it make our development much faster. The next thing is a palette, the logo palette. And if you see for the logo palette, I'm going to show this all the color in this particular format, and at the top obviously we have this heading and the title, and inside this data I already added this color.jsx file, and inside this file you will see the name of this palette, and then we added the all the color code for that one as well. Obviously I'm going to share this particular file with you, and then so that you can use it. So let's go to this logo palette component, and we'll add a heading description first. To this heading description, for a title we'll provide a lookup dot logo color palette title. For a description we have lookup dot logo color palette description. Here we'll add a class name margin y to 10, save it. Let's make sure it is getting rendered. So if I go to the next screen, you will see this heading and title. Then in order to show that particular palette, here I will add a div. Inside the div we'll use the colors dot map. Inside that we'll say palette comma index, arrow function, and then inside that again we want to show the div, because inside here if you see this color.jsx file, we have again the list of array, right? So that what we want to render. So we'll say palette dot colors dot map. Here we'll say item comma index and the arrow function. Over here we'll simply add a div, and to this div we'll provide the class name with the height of 24. Then we'll provide a width to be full, and the most important, we'll provide the background. So for the background I'm going to provide inside the style, and inside here we'll say background color, and then we'll provide the item as a background color. Okay, here we'll just say color as well. Make sure we provide the key at the index here as well, otherwise it will throw the warning or error message. Now if I save this one and go back, you will see all the colors, right? But it is not in the form that we want. So first thing, for this particular div we'll add a class name, and we'll make grid, and grid column 2 on the smaller screen. When the screen size is medium, we'll make grid column 3. Okay, and we'll give gap of 5 and margin top to 5 as well. Let's save it, and now this is how it looks, but we want this one as well in a vertical form. So simply for this particular div we'll add a class name, and we already have a class name. Over here we need to provide key as an index, and over here we provide a flex. Perfect, and if you see our color palette is now showing perfectly fine. Okay, so that's how guys you need to add. Obviously whenever user select any of the color palette, we need to show which one is selected. So for that one, here we'll say selected option comma set selected option is equal to use state, and when user click on it, so obviously we need to save that state. So over here we'll add on click method, and we'll set selected option as palette dot name, because I'm saving it as a name because each palette has the unique name. Okay, so that name we added, and for conditional styling we'll wrap this in a curly braces, then this particular tag over here I will remove this and simply add a $sign. Here we'll say selected option is equal to palette dot name and then we'll simply add a border. Also over here okay, let's border, then here we'll say rounded large and then we'll make border is of primary color. Okay, before that here we'll add a padding of 1 and then save it. Now if I go back and if I select any of this one, see it is showing the selected one, right? Over here we can add border 2, so with little bit larger. Perfect. Also we'll make cursor pointer, so just add cursor pointer, so whenever we hover the cursor will change, see. And after that we need to provide this on handle input change. So on the click along with this one I'm going to add one more curly braces in order to call on handle input change method, and in that we'll pass the palette dot name only. Okay, so we pass this name of the palette, and I think that's all. Obviously this method we need to pass back, and that's how we got it. Let's select any of the palette, and here we'll see the palette with all the information. Now the next thing we have is to show the design options. Now over here if you see these are some of the mock-up that we're gonna show in order to display the style of logo for which user want to create or something like that. Obviously for this one I already created a new file called logo design. Inside that we have the title of for that particular design type, then the image which we added to the assets folder, okay, which is design 1, design 2 and so on, and the most important thing, the prompt. Okay, now each of these particular design has a different prompt in order to create a similar kind of logo when user select by passing all of this information, which you're gonna learn it soon. But before that, these 3 field is very important, and inside this assets folder you will see I added all of these images, okay, which I'm also going to share this with you guys. So let's go to the logo design file, and inside this first thing we'll add a class name margin y to 10, then we want to add the heading and description along with the title, which we can get it from the lookup dot logo design title, logo design title, yeah, and then we have the description from the lookup dot logo design description, and then save it. I will just make sure over here, let me refresh the screen, and we have all this text. Perfect. Then we want to display all the list, so simply I'm going to use a logo design dot map. Over here we'll say design comma index and the arrow function. Inside here we'll add a div. Inside this div, first let's provide the key as an index, and then we want to add a image tag. Now as we provided the local image route, okay, so you don't need to do anything, just add a design dot image. Here we'll inside the alt tag I'm going to provide a design dot title, and then we need to provide a width, let's add 300, the height of let's say 200, and then save it. Now if I go back, and here we have the list. Perfect. Now let's put it in a grid format. So over here we'll add a grid. We'll add grid column 2 on the medium screen, and when the screen size is medium or larger we'll make it 3, for smaller we'll add 2, and then we're gonna also add a gap of 10 and then save it. For this image we'll add a class name. For this class name we'll make width to be full, we'll make rounded XL, then we'll add margin top to 2, or let's make it margin as it is, but here I'm going to provide a custom height in the form of pixel. Okay, so let's save this one, let's go back, and this is how it will look. It stretch out, but over here you can add object cover. Perfect, something like this, right? If you want to show all of this, you can just add height 200, so you can display something like that as well. Okay, but I will keep this to 150. For this one I'm going to add margin top to 10, so some space. Perfect. Now whenever we hover on any of this one, right, we want to add a border, and also when you just select it, we want to show the selected one. So over here we'll say selected option comma set selected option is equal to use state, and on the click of this one, so over here we'll add on click method, we say set selected option which is equal to design dot title. Then over here for this one only, I'm going to add a class name with this tag, and then we'll simply add a condition. We'll say dollar selected option is equal to design dot title, and then we'll simply add a border. We'll also add a rounded Excel, and we'll make a border is of primary. I will make border 2 actually. Okay, initially I will also add padding to 1, and over here I will add hover effect. So on a hover we'll add a border 2, then we also border is of primary color, and we'll also add a border, not border but rounded corner Excel, and then save it. Now if I go back and if I hover on this one, you will see this border. If I select anything, see, you can see the selected one. Make sure add a cursor pointer and then save it. Perfect, right? Now as soon as you select it, right, we have to make sure we'll pass the handle input change method. So over here we'll add on handle input change, and to this one we'll pass design as a complete object. Okay, because we want to get all of this value, so I pass the complete object. Over here we'll say on handle input change and then save it. Perfect. Now if I go to the inspect panel, make sure inside your form data you are saving this value. See, inside the design we have the obviously complete object with this all the parameter. Perfect. Now whenever we enter some value and go to the next page and add some description, right, and go to the continue, and if a user want to go back to the previous component, then you will see that our description, whatever description we enter, is no longer showing on the screen, but it is inside our form data. And if you see this form data, we have our description, right? The question is, how can we display the user entered value if user come back again? And same thing when user select any color palette, any app logo, and went back to the previous screen, the selection is not showing. But as I say that it is saving inside of form data. So simply we need to make sure from the form data we need to show the default selection. So in order to do that, first thing, from the page.jsx we have the form data. We need to pass this form data to each of the component. There is this way that we can pass it to each component, or you can make a context, and from the context you can do that, but it is quite simple and not that much complicated. So because of that one, I'm going to simply pass it to each component like this. Okay, so let's copy this one and then we'll paste to this component and so on. Okay, and that's all, and then save it. Now let's go to the logo title first, and over here if you see, we already have default value from the title, so don't need to worry about this one. But if I go to the logo description, make sure to accept the form data, and from the form data we're gonna pass the default value to form data dot description. Okay, and if you see this input has the field called default value, or also you can also pass the value field, and inside that you can pass form data dot description. Okay, so either way you can do that. Next thing, let's go to the logo palette, and over here make sure to get this form data, and once you have this form data, now over here we have this state called selected option, right? Inside that we'll pass the default value. So selection data, sorry, form data dot, and if you see over here, we are just writing this, or we are just setting the option to the name, right? So same thing we have to do it, but over here if you see, we just need to pass it as a palette only. So over here I will add form data dot palette. Okay, if it is not there, that's completely fine. So I will go to the next, and if you see, now the selection is showing as a selected one. Let's go to next, and same thing you need to do for this design option. So over here I will get the form data, and then if you see, once you select anything, then inside the design we need to pass the title. Okay, so over here we'll say form data dot design dot title. Make sure you will pass this optional operator. Okay, this is very important, and then save it, and here we have the selection. Now if I go to the previous, go to the next, and you will see it is now selected. And the last, you need to get this design idea section. So for the design idea, I already have the form data. Simply I am going to pass form data dot idea, and then save it. Okay, and obviously if I go to previous page, go to the continue, obviously it's fetching from the previous value, and every time when you come to this particular page, every time it will fetch a new data, and then if you click continue, then you have all the selection ready. Now next we are going to add a new component called pricing model. On the click of next, after we generate the idea, it will going to show this particular page. One which is the completely free, and where you can generate unlimited logo, but the wait time for this AI model which we are going to add for the free section is about 30 seconds to 3 minutes. And obviously as I mentioned over here that it has a longer wait time, but you can generate unlimited. But we also have another plan called premium, where we are going to integrate a different AI model. Obviously it's a paid, and this model is completely free, and it has a shorter wait time, and within a less than 10 seconds you can generate the image, but you have to pay cost for that one. Okay, but for this demo purpose I'm going to add a free credits, up to 5 free credits, which user can use and try the premium in a demo application as well. Okay, so let's do that. So let's go back to our application, and inside this lookup where we already have all the information, inside that I added this pricing option along with this all the information. Okay, you will find it inside the lookup.jsx file under the underscore data folder. Now let's go to this create components. Here we'll create a pricing model dot jsx, and inside that let's add a default template. Here we'll add class name margin y to 10. Then I'm going to add a heading, description, and first thing we'll add a title. So in order to show the title, I will just use logo. So from the lookup, obviously it is in the lookup dot logo pricing model title, and for the description I will add lookup dot logo pricing model description. Okay, and then save it. Now if I go back to our application, and obviously let me refresh this screen once. So we'll add some description, select this theme, and then we'll continue to this particular frame, and then we'll continue. So over here, obviously, I think we forgot to add this pricing model on this particular page. Right now it's showing null, right? So on the step 6, let's add a step 6. Here we'll say pricing model, and then we have form data handle input change. Here we'll say pricing, and I think that's all we need. Okay, make sure it is imported, perfect, and then save it, and then we have this title and the description showing on the screen. Now from the lookup we have this pricing option, let use to display it. So I will add a div. Inside this div we'll add a lookup dot pricing options dot map. Here we'll say pricing comma index and the arrow function. Inside this we'll add a div, and we'll just going to iterate this. Okay, so first we'll show the icon. We'll simply add an image tag first to show the logo. So over here we'll say pricing dot icon. Okay, for the alt tag I'm going to add pricing dot title, and then we'll give width and height. So width I will give 60 and height is of 60. Let's save this one, and if I go back you will see these two images. Now let's add a grid over here. We'll add a grid column 1 when the screen size is smaller, and when the screen size is medium or larger we'll make grid column 2. Okay, we'll also give gap to 10 and then save it. Perfect. Now for this particular div we want all the content in the center of the screen, so we'll make flex column item to be in the center, and we'll also add a padding to 5. Let's add a border and we'll make rounded to XL. Perfect. We'll give margin top, so over here we'll add margin top to 10. Perfect. Let's make it little smaller. Now after this image we want to show the title, so pricing dot title. Over here we'll add a class name. We'll make font medium, text is of 2XL. After this, as per this mockup, you want to show all the list, right? So I'm gonna add a div tag over here first, and inside that we'll add a pricing dot features dot map, because it is again a list. Here we'll say feature comma index and the arrow function. Just make sure that you will provide the key as an index. Over here as well we need to provide that. So over here we'll add a h2 tag with a feature dot just a feature, I think, because I hope it's just a list, sorry, just an array, and over here we'll add an index. Let's save it and let's see it's beautifully showing, right? Obviously we need to add some styling. So over here key will be index, and then we'll add text large. We'll add margin y, not margin y, but we'll add margin top to 2, make it 3 maybe. Perfect. And then at the last we want to add a button. So for a button, after this div we'll add a button, and we also have the button name, so we'll add that as a button name, say. Okay, now let's give a margin top to this button, margin top to 5, and then boom, right? Perfect. So our pricing model is ready. It's quite simple and easy, not complicated at all. If you want, let me do one thing. Instead of giving margin y over here, let's remove this, and I think this will be okay. Now obviously if user want to generate by clicking any of these button, first user need to authenticate, right? And then once user is authenticated, automatically our application will start generating. But another important thing, whatever the form data we have to store it in locally somewhere, so that once user is logged in, we will check if the form data is there or not. Then depends on that one, we are going to generate the image. Now In this particular section, we are going to implement few scenario where we need it in order to generate the logo with the help of AI model. So very first thing, once you land on this particular screen, which is pricing screen, we are going to save the form data to our local storage. Then we'll check if user is authenticated or not. If user is new and did not authenticated, then we are going to redirect to a sign in screen, and then we're gonna save user information to our database along with the default credits. Now here credit nothing but the 5 credits which we are going to provide, so that he can also generate the premium logo. It means the fast execution of the logo. Okay, and once the data is saved into the database, then we are going to save that user information to our context in on our application side, right, so that we can use it with the help of context anytime whenever we require. After that, if everything is done, the authenticated is successful, then we are going to redirect user to this new page called /generate logo, and then we are going to pass the type. Type is nothing but whether it's a free or the premium. After that, we are going to generate the raw prompt based on the prompt which we have, and then we are going to pass the form data information to that prompt. Once that raw prompt is ready, we're going to pass that prompt to our AI model to generate the exact prompt for the logo, and then we are going to use a free AI model to generate the logo. For that one, we are going to use a Hugging Face AI model because it's free to use. That I'm going to tell you how to set up. And the last, we're going to save the generated image to our database, and simply we are going to display it on the screen. So this is a complete workflow, but don't worry, I'm going to tell you how can we implement one by one. So first, let's save the form data to our local storage. So simply go to the AI generator, and inside the pricing model, let's add a use effect. And over here, whenever the form data is available, then only we are going to execute this use effect. Okay, so over here I will add the form data. Make sure inside the page.jsx we are passing the form data. Once we have that, over here I will write a condition. If form data dot title, if it's there, and so this is one of the important condition. Here we say type of window is not equal to undefined. Okay, so maybe we can put it in the string format. So it's type of, so make sure is not undefined. Then we're gonna set the local storage item using local storage dot set item. The form data, I will give the name, and then simply I'm gonna store the form data. Okay, now you cannot store it as a JSON object, so you need to convert it into a string by using json.stringify. But you have to make sure that you will check this particular condition, because once you deploy your application, the Next.js application, on a virtual server, sometimes local storage will not get detected. Okay, so that's the reason you need to do it. Here I will make sure it's on the client side, and then save it. Now if I go back, and over here, obviously let me refresh and let's do everything. So over here is an Indian restaurant. I will give the logo name Indian restaurant. Let me go back here. We'll say Indian spice, and you can select any color combination. Then say continue. You can select the logo type. I will select this one and say continue. And here it will generate the design idea for us. Let's select the one, and then here you are. Now if I go to the inspect panel and then go to the application, inside that you will find this local storage option, and then click on here, right? Once you click on this, your domain means, which is our URL, here you will see the form data which we just saved, right, along with all the details. How cool, right? It means we are able to successfully saving the form data. Now next thing that we need to check if user is authenticated or not. Obviously we did not added any authentication currently to our application, and in order to add authentication service, we are going to use a clerk authentication, because it's much easier to integrate, and it provides a lot of different providers like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, GitHub, and many more. And within a one click, you can integrate it. Another important thing is free to use, and along with the different social authentication, it also provides a multi-factor authentication, magic link, and lot of others. So let's click get started. If you don't have account, just create one. I already have account, so I will just log into my account now. And once you successfully log in, you will see the dashboard. Here you have option to create an application. Now I will give the name like logo generator. We'll say AI logo generator, and you can select whether you want email, Google, okay, and then simply click create application. On the right hand side, you will see the preview how it looks. So I will just create this application, and then you can select the appropriate framework for which you want to use this clerk. So in our case, it's a Next.js. So first thing, let's install this SDK. So simply copy it and paste it here. Then make sure to add this environment variable. So I will copy this one as well, and inside .env I will paste it. And next we need to add this middleware.ts file. So this is very important because once you add this middleware.ts file, you can able to protect the routes which you want to authenticate it, right? Means unauthorized user cannot access that one. So over here I will say middleware.js, and simply I think I already, let's copy this and paste it here, and then save it. And the last important thing, that you need to wrap your application inside this clerk provider. So let's go back to the layout.js file and simply wrap your application inside the clerk provider like this. Make sure to import this from the clerk/next.js, and then simply save it, and that's all. Now right now if you see, in order to protect some of the routes, right, you need to mention that routes inside the middleware.ts file. So let's go to this file and let's add that. So from the description, I put the link of the documentation, okay, which help us you to protect your routes. So simply go over here, and inside this middleware section, right, just click on this reference, and once you are on this, you can just protect the routes, okay. So just copy this first line of code. I will copy everything, okay, first 7 lines, and then simply paste it over here, okay. Now in this case, if you see, the dashboard route is protected, but you can protect any other routes if you want. So in our case, I will say generate logo, and I'm gonna protect this route as well, which we are going to create in a moment, and then simply save it. Now let me go back to our pricing model section. So I will close all of this, and let's go over here. Now in order to check whether user is logged in or not, we're gonna simply update this button. So we're gonna obviously check. So over here we'll simply add constant user is equal to use user component, and then over here I will check if user is there, okay. If means a user is already authenticated, then I'm gonna use this button to display the text. Otherwise I'm gonna use a sign in button, okay, from the clerk Next.js, and inside that I'm gonna show this button. Oops, sorry, I will just copy this and paste it here, something like this, right? Now this sign in button automatically open the sign in page, but here you have the mode as well. You can either show it as a pop-up model, or you can redirect it. Let's save this one, and let me show you this quick demo, okay. So right now again I have to select everything. So let's add Indian restro, then some value, application, you can select anything, continue. Here it will generate the idea, and then if I click on this one, you will see the pop-up. Okay, I think something went wrong. So there is a spelling mistake to this. Let me go back to this middleware.js. So over here, make sure it's a middleware with the, I missed the E, and I think we are good on this. Now if I go and let me refresh this because we updated the middleware, and now if I click on this one, you will get this beautiful pop-up, right? How cool. You don't need to implement anything over here, right? So this pop-up will taking care of everything. Now let me log in with the Google. We'll select the account. So I just close everything, and let me explain one more important thing. Over here inside the sign up button, we want to navigate it after successful signing, right? So here you need to write an first redirect URL, and then you can provide the path where you want to redirect. So in this case, we'll say generate logo, and then we're gonna pass a type is equal to the selected type. So in this case, we'll simply say pricing dot title. Okay, let me wrap this in a curly braces, something like this. Okay, so depends on the user selection, it will redirect it to that particular page, which is generate logo. So right now we don't have that particular route yet, so let's create that route so that we will not get not found page. So simply I'm going to create a new folder called generate logo, and inside that we'll create a route.jsx, not route but page.jsx file, and add a default template. Here we will simply say generate logo and then save it. Perfect. Let's save everything and let's test this out again. So I will just refresh it. I will click on generate logo. Over here we will select, and then boom, once it successfully log in, I am able to navigate to this particular route. Okay, now once user is login successfully, we're gonna add a new option over here called dashboard, and along with that on the header we're gonna show a user profile image. So for that one, let me go to the header.jsx because we want to add it on inside the header. So inside this underscore component we have a header, and over here let's add a div. Inside the div we'll add this button. After this we'll add a user button component from the clerk Next.js. Okay, and then over here we'll add a user is equal to use user, and we'll check if user is there, then we're gonna add a new button. So if user and then we'll add a button for a dashboard. Now over here I will add a variant as outline. Okay, let's save it and let's take this out. So okay, we need to mark this as a client side because we are using the use user hook from the clerk. And now if you see, we have these buttons. Let's style it. So here we'll make it flex, gap of 3, and item to be in the center. Perfect. Okay, now we have these 3 buttons. Now if you don't want this dashboard, we can remove it. So over here we'll add if user is there, then show the dashboard page, otherwise show get started page. Okay, and let me remove this then. I think that's a good idea. See, perfect, right? So that's how you need to do it. Now as soon as you log into your account, we need to make sure you will save that information to our database, and that implementation we can do inside the provider, because whenever you refresh your screen, this provider component will get executed, because from this component only we are going to render the children. So over here we'll save user data. Okay, and we'll write a method constant check user data, or user auth we'll say, something like this. And over here we're gonna save user to database. Now next we will learn how can we set up a database in order to save user information and our logo information to the database. Now after successful sign-in, the next step is to save user information to our database. So for that one we are going to use a Firebase database because it's maintained by Google, more advanced and free to use. So simply go to the firebase.google.com, and go to the console. Over here you can create a new project if you want. I already have the project created, so I will open that one. Over here if you see, I already have some of the projects inside this big project, and here you have option to create a new application. Select the web, and over here you need to give the application name. So over here I will say AI logo generator, then simply click register app, and then you need to install this Firebase SDK. So simply copy this command in order to install the Firebase into your application. Inside the new terminal, we'll execute this command, and then you need to copy this all the configuration, and inside our config folder we'll create a new file called firebase config.jsx and paste this all line of code, and then save it. Now inside here you need to remove analytics because right now we don't not going to implement, but simply add db is equal to get fire store, and then pass this app reference over here. Then make sure to import that, so I will say import get firestore from firebase slash firestore, and then make sure to export this db so that you can use it throughout the application. Okay, and then simply save it. Now I will go to the I will continue to the console, and once you are here, simply on the left hand side you will see the option called firestore database. Okay, now inside here I already have many collection inside this. Okay, and each collection contains a multiple documents. Okay, and here you have the documents, and inside the document you can save the field. Now this is the NoSQL database. Okay, so you can store it whatever the fields you want. Now inside here obviously inside the collection called users, I'm going to store our database. Right now I will just clean everything, or let's delete this collection so we can use it from the scratch. Now next thing, let me make sure to copy this API key from here. Okay, and put it inside the .env file. So over here we'll say next underscore public, and then we'll say firebase API key, and then simply paste it here. Copy this environment variable so that we can use it and pass this environment variable key. Let's save it, and now it's time to save our information to the database. So simply we are going to create an API inside this API folder, and we can name it as a users. Inside that we'll create a route.jsx file, and here we'll say export async function, and this will be a post request like this. Now from the request I'm going to get the user information, and over here we'll say await request.json. So in the post request we are going to pass a body, and all the user information we can pass over here. Then inside the try catch block, obviously inside the try we're gonna write a code in order to save the data to our database. So first here we'll check if user already exists, and if not, then we're gonna add a new user. Okay, so in order to check if user is already there or not, we'll write doc reference is equal to document, make sure it is importing from the firebase firestore. Then we'll provide the db reference which we already defined inside the firebase config. Over here the collection name called users, and then we're gonna pass the user email over here. So simply over here we can say user email and user name. Okay, so only this both field I'm going to pass. So let's write user email. Okay, and obviously this is the collection name and this is the document name that we are going to pass. After that we'll say constant document snap is equal to await get doc. Now this method will check whether the document exists or not. If it's there, then it will simply fetch it. And so over here we'll say if doc snap dot exist, if document is exist, then we'll return it. Okay, so yeah, and over here we'll say next response dot json, and then we'll simply add docsnap dot data. Okay, so it will return the whatever the object like username, email, credits, whatever we are saving, right? But if document is not exist, then we need to insert new user. So in order to do that, we'll simply write await set document, and inside that we'll provide a document reference again, the DB reference, the collection name which is the users, and the document name. Now document ID need to be a unique every time, and that's the reason I'm providing this user email and the field which you want to save. So I'm going to pass, okay, let's write a constant data is equal to, and inside that we'll pass a user name as username, then email as, over here we'll just say name, user email, and then the default credit that I'm going to pass. So for credits I write 5, okay, which is the default credit, and then simply I will restructure it, and then I'm gonna save it. Once it's saved, I will just return next response dot json, and we'll say data. Now once your API is ready, let's go to this provider.jsx and simply call that. So here we'll say constant result is equal to await axios dot post method slash user, and then we need to pass the body which is nothing but the user information. So over here we'll first let's get the user information using this use user hook, which will return all the user info like user name as user dot prime full name, and then user email as user dot primary email address dot email address, and only these two fields I think we are passing to the body. Here I will make this as a async, and then we'll just console the result. So result dot data. Now inside the use effect we'll call this method whenever this provider will execute. Okay, so over here we'll simply check if user is there or not, and then we'll call check user auth, make sure only when user is there. Okay, let's save it and let's go back to our application. Inside the inspect panel, go to the console, and if I refresh the screen, even though if I refresh from anywhere, you will see the change. Right now we use the use effect, so we need to make this particular component on the client side. So that's the reason we use the provider, so that we can run it on the client side. So we got the error actually. So if you get any API side error, I will definitely recommend you to check the terminal. Okay, so inside the terminal, if I go at the bottom of the screen, and over here we have the 404 error. Okay, that's the reason, because path is incorrect. So this need to be a slash API slash user. Okay, now if I refresh it, still we have error. That's weird. Okay, so it's API slash users. Okay, so make sure it's API slash users, and now we got that error. So this is proper error, we got it. And over here if you see, it's saying you need to return the response. Let's see what's the issue over here. So okay, so inside the return we need to write the response. Okay, so make sure you will write as a return, and if I go over here, now we got the information. Perfect. If I go to the database and let me go to the data and users, the new collection get created. Inside that the new document which is the user's email, and in that we have the user information. Cool, right? If sometimes you might have error that you need a permission to access the documentation, so simply go to the rules. Inside the rules, make sure you will allow the read write up to certain dates. You can update this timestamp date so that you can able to access it. Okay, so make sure guys this you are able to save it, and anytime whenever you refresh the screen you can able to fetch it again. Now once you able to fetch it, we need to store these three fields into one state so that we can use it throughout the application. And for that one we are going to use a context. Context is very powerful in order to share your data across the multiple components. It's a state management concept. So simply first we'll create a new folder called context inside the app folder. Make sure the folder name will start with the underscore. Inside that we'll create, so make sure you are creating inside the underscore context, and here we'll create user detail context.jsx. Simply we'll say export constant user detail context is equal to create context, and then save it. Now inside the provider you need to wrap your application, so we can just wrap here with the user detail context. Did I name context only? Okay, that's fine. Dot provider, and then we need to pass a default value, something like this, right? Now in order to pass a default value, obviously we will pass user information value. So over here we'll say user set user, oh sorry, not user, but here we'll say user detail set user detail is equal to use state, and simply we'll set user detail as a result dot data. Okay, and once we have that value, you can simply pass user detail comma set user detail. That's all, and then save all. Now whenever in any component, if you want to access this user information, you can access it using the context, and let me show you how. Now inside this generate logo, right, so right now if you see we are in the generate logo, and in order to get the user information you can just write user detail comma set user detail is equal to use context, and then you need to provide a context name which is user detail context. Now make sure the state name, which is user detail, will be the same. That's what you define inside the provider. Once you save it, and if you want to console over here, you can just console in order to check the information. Okay, so over here we need to make this component on the client side, and now okay, so over here now if you see we got the information. Cool, right? So that's how guys you can get the user detail context information. Now the next step is to redirect user to this particular page, which we already did it on the after user authentication. But even if I go back, okay, let me go to this logo create, and if I click on this button as well, I have to make sure I will redirect it to that particular page. Right now it's not working. Okay, so the reason is inside our create logo pricing component, let's go to this component over here. On this sign in button we redirect it, but to this original button we need to make sure we redirect. So we'll say, or we'll simply add a link, then href, and then we redirect to the generate logo type is equal to, and then we'll provide a pricing dot title as our type because it has a premium or free, and simply wrap your button inside this link. Now if I click on this one, it will redirect it to that particular route. Okay, so this is also done. Now next thing is to generate a raw prompt based on the form data. Now when we say the raw prompt, it means from our underscore data we have this prompt.jsx file, and inside here you will see that we have this logo prompt. Okay, this is a raw one because here we need to replace our logo title, logo description, and so on. So let's do that. Obviously for that one, first thing you need to get the form data from the local storage. So inside the generate logo, we'll say constant, or let's use effect first to get the data. So we'll say use effect. Over here we'll pass the user detail, or we can pass it later on. For now we'll keep as it is, but here we can write a condition if type of window is not equal to undefined and user detail dot email is present, then only it will go to the if block. So here make sure to pass the user detail, and then we'll write constant storage is equal to local storage dot get item form data with the name form data. And once we have the storage, so here we'll say if storage is exist, then we'll simply convert it. So we'll define a state called form data comma set form data is equal to use state, okay, so that we can store it. So here we'll simply say set form data will convert the storage into a JSON, because this will return a string, because we save it as a string and then we'll just parse it. If you want to check, you can just parse this and you can pass the storage, so you can just console it as well. Okay, let's save it and let's test this first whether we are getting the form data or not. So inside this create next, over here if you see online page number 23, which is this is different one. Let me refresh it, and that's weird. Okay, yeah, we got it now. If you see online page number 16, we got the data. Perfect, right? So this is the form data, that's what we wanted. Now once we have this, simply we're gonna call new method called constant generate AI logo, and inside that first we'll get the prompt. We need to first generate the raw prompt. So from the lookup dot, not lookup, I think, it's just a prompt only. So from the data prompt dot logo prompt dot replace, and then we need to replace each of the things. Okay, so let's go to this prompt. First thing, we need to replace the logo title with our own title with form data dot title, then dot replace. Again we need to replace our next thing, which is the logo description, with form data dot, what is the name of the field, which is I believe description. I will put this optional field dot replace. The next thing is logo color. So the color palette we need to mention, which is form data dot palette, I believe. So if you see, this is the name, so I will say palette only. Don't replace. Next thing that we want to replace is logo design. So for the logo design, you need to provide the design dot title. Okay, so make sure that, so here we'll say form data dot design dot title, and after this we need to provide the logo prompt. Okay, now this one as well, you can get it from the design only. So over here we'll say replace, and then if you see inside the design, we are also storing the prompt. So this prompt we are gonna pass it. Prompt, and I think that's all we needed. So if I go back over here, that's all, right? Now simply console this so that we can check whether the prompt is getting correctly or not. So I will just console this prompt, and then this generate AI logo we can call inside the another use effect only when we have the form data, right? So over here we can write a condition if form data dot title If it exists, then only call this generate AI logo method. Okay, let's save it and let's test this out. And if you see, we got the prompt as well. Now each prompt, if you see, we are getting correct result. Now simply what you need to do, copy this prompt, go to this Google AI Studio, where we are running the prompt, right, inside the Gemini API, and simply click on create prompt. Okay, inside here just paste the prompt which you just copied like this, and then run it. Once you run it, you will get the proper formatted prompt for you. How cool, right? So this is a new AI model we need to add. Obviously we have the model, but new updated code we can add, we can say. So simply click on the get code, and only thing that we want is this particular section now, because we already have other section, right? So just copy this and go back to your config folder where we have this AI model, because previously we have this AI design idea model. Now next we will just paste it, this new one, and here we'll say AI logo prompt. Okay, and make sure to export this. That's all you need to do. Let's save it. Now again go to our generate logo, and next thing that we need to do is to generate logo prompt from AI. After that we need to generate logo image as well, right? So both the things we can implement on the API side. So let's go to the API folder, and inside this we'll create a new folder called generate, not generate, we'll say logo, we'll say AI logo model. Okay, and inside that we'll write a route.jsx file. Now over here we'll say export async function. Obviously this will be the post request, so over here we'll say request, and then we'll get the user information first. Obviously first thing we need to get is the form data. So here I will not form data, I think we just need a prompt. Okay, so just get the prompt first. Okay, is equal to await request dot json. Now inside the try and catch block, so over here we'll say catch with the exception e. Now first thing, as I say, we need to generate AI text prompt for logo. Okay, after that we're gonna pass that prompt to the AI logo image model, but let's implement this first. So over here we'll say constant result, we'll say AI prompt result is equal to await, and our AI model name is AI logo prompt. So AI logo prompt dot send message, and to this one we're gonna pass the prompt. Now once the prompt is there, we'll just console this one as well. So over here we'll say AI prompt dot AI prompt result. So AI prompt result dot response dot text, and obviously this will be in the form of text, so I will just convert this into a pass. Okay, and for now, for the testing purpose, I'm gonna return the result as well. So here we'll say next response dot json, and then I'm gonna pass this particular response. Let's save this instead. So here we'll say constant AI prompt is equal to, and we'll paste this one, and we'll just return this AI prompt like this. Okay, and then save it. Now this is, I'm just testing this one, okay, because after that we need to implement some other API call as well. Now over here we'll simply write constant result is equal to await, make an API call using axios dot post method. So make sure to import axios, then post Here we'll say slash API slash the API name, which is AI logo model, and then inside the body we'll pass the prompt as prompt. Okay, and then once we get the result, we'll say console.log result.data and save it. Let's make this as a async, and let's go back over here, and if you see, we got the result. Or no, I think not this one, this one, right? And if you see inside the prompt, we have proper value. Perfect. So that's what we wanted. Obviously, you can, in order to access the exact result, you can just write dot prompt. Okay, so we'll get the exact value of the prompt. Now over here, if you see, we generated the final AI prompt for a logo. Now we need to use a free AI model to generate the logo, and for that one we are going to use Hugging Face AI model. Now simply go to the huggingface.co. I will put the link in the description. Hugging Face is an open source platform in order to access the dataset, AI model, and there are a lot of other things. Another important thing, it is free to use. You can also host your own model and you can use it. It also have the pro account if you want to respond get much faster, something like that. But obviously in this tutorial we are going to use a free AI model. Now if you have an account, simply log into your account. Okay, make sure to create account if you don't have already, and then go to this model. Inside here you can go to this text to image and then search a model called Flux Mid Journey, something like this, I believe. So this one. Okay, so click on this model. I will also put the name and everything in the description. Now this model is free to use and you can even test it from here. Now whatever prompt which we got it, okay, I will just copy this value. So I will copy the string content and simply I will paste it inside this prompt, okay, or inside this input box, and simply click compute. Now it will start reloading it will start generating the logo for you with this particular prompt, and we'll see what result we are getting. Right now over here, if you see, it's taking some time, and as this is a free model, it takes some time to generate the appropriate logo. Also in this tutorial I'm going to teach you how can we use the fast AI model to generate the logo as well. Okay, but first thing first, and we'll wait to for this one to get the result. And boom, if you see, we got this beautiful logo as per our all the selections, right? So that's how guys you can implement it. Now in order to use this Hugging Face AI model, simply click on this view code and make sure to select the JavaScript, and this is the line of code that you can directly use to your application. But here we are going to implement little bit different way. They use this fetch operator because I'm going to use this Axios. So let's use that. So let's go back to our application, and over here now it's time to generate a logo from AI model. Okay, now over here we'll simply say constant response is equal to await Axios dot post method, and inside this now you need to pass this particular URL. Okay, so make sure you'll copy everything as it is and simply pass over here. Then you need to pass the you need to pass the prompt, this AI prompt. So I will pass this AI prompt like this, and then you need to pass this header. So I will just copy this header, authorization, and the content type like this. Okay, so let's format this document. Perfect. Okay, now from the header, if you see in authorization section, we need to provide then API key. Now in order to get this API key token, simply here you will see find an option called manage token. Simply click on this one. You will jump on this particular page. Now here you have option to create a new token, okay, or you can once you click on edit, when you click on the create token, then you will find this particular page like this. Okay, now over here make sure to select these two options: make call to the serverless interface API and make call to the interface endpoint. Make sure you will check these particular check boxes, otherwise it will reject your API call. Okay, so this permission you need to provide, and once you provide, you save it, you will find this API key. So simply I will create a new token. Over here we'll say AI logo builder generator and dev environment. Okay, so I will check this box, and then I think that's all we needed, and simply click create token. I will copy this token, go back to your .env file, and here we'll say next. We just need to access it on the server side, so you can say again face API key is equal to, and paste this key. Then you can simply go to this particular, and then you can say process.env and then your environment variable key, something like this, right? And here we'll say done, and that's all. Okay, so that's how guys you need to get the API key. And now from the response, so over here obviously it's returning the application.json type, but after this you need to provide the response type as array buffer. Okay, because otherwise because right now if you go back over here, let me go back to our model. Inside the JavaScript you will see it's returning the blob, and we want the array buffer because so that we can convert it into the string, sorry, the base 64. Okay, so over here we say convert to base 64 image. Now in order to convert this, we'll say constant buffer is equal to buffer from, and then we need to pass response dot data, and also provide as a binary. Okay, obviously first we are converting it to binary, then we'll say constant base 64 image is equal to buffer dot to string, and then we'll pass as base 64. Then we'll say constant base 64 image, you can write any with mine is equal to, and over here you need to pass the format, base 64 format. So here I will say data colon image slash png colon base 64. Okay, and then you need to write dollar base 64 image, because for the base 64 image you need to attach this particular text in front of this generated base 64 image. And over here I will also console this. Okay, and after everything we're gonna return this. So we'll say image as base 64 image. Now whenever once it is generated, we're gonna save to Firebase database as well. Okay, but first we'll check whether we are getting the base 64 image with or not. Okay, and over here if I get any error, we'll just console the response as error as E. Okay, so make sure everything is there. You are passing the API key. Oh, this need to be an API key, I think. Let me change this. And obviously we are generating this prompt, we are getting it from here, that's good. I will just use this prompt, okay, to get the exact prompt. Then we have the response, then we are converting to a base 64, and then we are returning back. And inside the page.jsx I will just returning the data. Okay, let's save it and let's test this out. So let's go back to our application, And obviously you can observe the network tab, and here if I refresh it, so let's wait, and if you see now AI model currently it is in pending status because it is it will take some time to generate the logo, as we are using the free tier and it's free to use, so it's take a lot of time, maybe a minute or two, okay, to generate the image. So we'll wait and we'll check how much time it will take and whether we are getting the base 64 image or not. And now it's generated successfully. If you see, it took a lot of time, so it almost took a 2 minutes to generate. That's quite a lot time. But if I go to this AI model, and obviously this is the payload, and in the preview you will see the base 64 image. Perfect, right? If I copy this base 64 image and go to the Google and search to decode this one, you will get the proper logo. And I just pasted this over here, and if you see the result, perfect, right? So that's how guys you can get or generate the image. Just quick thing, I don't know whether I updated or not over here. Make sure you will pass the colon like this, okay? So this is called semicolon, I believe, yeah, and save it. Now the last important thing that we need to do is to save this image to our database. So simply I'm gonna add again new try catch block, and inside here we'll write constant set document, oh sorry, not constant, here we'll simply say await set doc from the Firebase Firestore, then document the DB reference, and then we're gonna pass the collection name called users, the user email, so over here we'll say user email we're gonna pass, then again I will create a new collection called logos, and then inside that we'll pass a document ID which is in the form of string, so I will just use the timestamp and then we'll convert it into a string, and then the value which we want to store. The first thing obviously we're gonna store the image, which is this base 64 image with a mime. Then the title, obviously this title we can get it from the form data, and then description, obviously we'll get this description. So this all three value obviously I'm going to accept from here. So first is email, then the title, and then the description. So let's go to this page, and inside the body let's pass that. So first we'll pass email. That email you can get it from the user detail dot email. Then we want to pass the title, which we can get it from the form data dot title, and the last description also that we can get it from the form data dot description. Okay, so all three value we pass over here, and yeah, I think that's all we need. And once it is saved, obviously we are returning the response. Now over here we'll just console, I will write a loading state comma set loading is equal to use state, and we'll make initially false. So whenever it started, so here we'll say set the loading as a true, and once it is finished we'll set the loading as a false. And obviously once we get the image we can show it. So let's write constant logo image comma set logo image is equal to use state, and over here if you see the console, right, let's go to this inspect, and the console, I don't know whether we're generating or not, but yeah, in object if you see we have the image from the line 47 I think. Okay, so we'll set the logo image from the response, sorry, from the result dot data dot image. Okay, and once we have that one, obviously we're gonna show over here. Right now obviously we will redesign this one, but just now I want to, if loading is true, then we'll say if loading and then we'll say loading, and then over here if loading, if not there, then we can show the image and image, source, here we'll say logo image, alt tag will say logo, and in width we'll pass 200, height 200. Okay, so this is just for the example purpose. Obviously we will restructure this everything, but for now I just wanted to show you how it looks. So let's save it, and let me refresh the screen. Okay, so we got an error, but ignore that, and if you see, the loading is started, and inside the network panel as well, this AI model is executing. It means our Hugging Face is started working on our generating logo. And also if I go to this Hugging Face, and over here you can see how many API call you made, right? So for me I use 13, but you can make a request 1000 every day. Okay, so this is not just for the complete month. Every day you can make the 1000 requests. If you want to increase the limit, you can subscribe to their pro model. Now let's go back, and okay, obviously it's still working, so we'll wait. And here we have the result of the logo. Cool, right? So that's how, guys, you can generate the logo. Next, obviously we will update this particular page, so that once we have the final result, you can able to see it. Along with that one, we will add the loading effect. Now it's time to add a new AI model which will give you the response less than 5 to 10 seconds. Currently with the Hugging Face, which is a completely free AI model, which takes some time to generate the logo. But with this new model called Replicate, okay, obviously the model name is Flux Fine Tune, the response time of that model is less than 8 seconds. But unfortunately it's not completely free. You have to pay for that one. So simply first thing, go to the replicate.com, and then if you don't have an account, create a new account. So and sign up with your account. Once you sign up, if you see, I already use for a lot of time, and the most important things is very cheap. Okay, it means you $1 you can generate up to more than 400 images. And once you are in there, go to this explore section and scroll down. Over here you will see this generate image option, which you can use it, but in this case we want something which is finely generating the logo, and that's why we are using this use Flux Fine Tune section. Just go into that one, and then you will find a new model called Hyperflux Edge Step. Okay, so this Hyperflux Edge Step, which is a fine tune model, the most important, it will generate the exact wording which you are going to pass. And again, another important thing, the response time of this model is less than 5 seconds as per this documentation. Also, if you observe this model cost approximately 0.0063 to run on Replicate. It means with this amount you can generate one image. Okay, and obviously in $1 you can generate up to 158 images. But there are some other model which can generate more than 400 images as well. But the recommendation is try to use this model because it will give you the exact result which you are looking for. Okay, now for a testing purpose, let's do one thing. I will just go to this inspect panel and go to the console, and I generated this image with our free model, but I will copy this prompt and simply I'm gonna paste it inside this one. Okay, and you will see the response time. Now if I run this model, and within a few seconds you will get the response. Boom, see how easily you got the response. And there are some of the more options you will see over here, and if you see the response time is just 2.6 seconds. How cool, right? Also they have option, you can generate multiple outputs. If you want a couple of more outputs, you can just change this parameter and then you can generate it. Now this is just a testing purpose, but now in order to integrate into your application, simply click on this Node.js section. Okay, so this is the form where you can test, but click Node.js. Inside here, first thing you need to do is to install the Replicate. So just copy this and go back to your application, and inside the terminal I will just paste it here. Okay. Now before adding this line of code for the replicate, let's go to this generate logo where we have the when where we calling this generate AI logo. Okay. Here if you remember, we are passing the type, right, and we need to get that type first, because depends on the type which we are passing, we are going to select the appropriate model. So over here we'll say constant search params is equal to use search params hook in order to get that, and here we'll say constant model type is equal to search params dot get, and then we'll pass as a type, and in that one we'll get the model type. Now this model type we want to send to our API. Okay, so along with this one I am going to pass the type as a model type. Perfect, right? And then save it. Now let's go to our API endpoint where we need to accept the type like this. Now if you remember, here we are calling this Hugging Face free API. Now over here I will simply add a condition: if type is equal to free, then execute this line of code. Okay, otherwise we need to execute different code. So over here we'll say else, we'll execute the replicate API endpoint. Now obviously we need to convert this into a base 64 and a lot of other things. So I'm going to move this line of code from here and we'll just put it inside this block. Okay, and obviously we have base 64. I will just write a let and I will pass this something like this. Okay, the reason is we can save it so that we can add it, or we can put it inside this Firebase database, and also we can return this value. Okay, and then inside this else block we're gonna use this replicate API. Now let's go to this, and first thing, let's copy this API token as well. Now in order to create the token, just go to the profile and here you can generate the API token. Obviously you can give the token name and then generate a new token as well. Now once you copy the token, inside .env you need to save it. So over here we'll say replicate. I think I just copied everything, so I will just put it there. We don't need this export, just replicate API token. And then let me go back over here and then we'll copy all of this. So which first initialize the replicate. So we'll import this one, and over here obviously we are calling. If you want to move this at the top, that also good idea, so we can move it over here. And the another important thing that we need to copy this and paste it here, which actually making a call. Okay, so over here it running this particular model, and then inside the input we need to pass a prompt. So I will just replace this with our own prompt. So I believe we have that. Oh, okay, so we calling as AI prompt. Okay, you can pass number of output, depends on your choice. Here I will make this as a PNG, so output will be in the PNG format, and then inside the console we will get the output as well. So over here we will get the output. Obviously we need to convert this output into a base 64 image. So in order to do that, I will simply write one method called async function convert image to base 64, and over here I will pass image. Now inside that we'll write constant response is equal to await axios dot get, and first thing I'm going to convert it into array buffer. So over here we'll say image URL, image, whatever the image we have, so that image we are going to pass, and then we'll simply say response type as array buffer. Okay, and then we'll say constant base 64 image raw is equal to buffer dot from, and here we'll say response dot data, and we'll convert it into to string of base 64 format. Okay, and the last and then we'll return it. Now inside the return, obviously we need to provide this format, so I will just copy everything as it is. We'll paste it here, and over here we'll add dollar base 64 image raw. Okay, now this particular method we're gonna call it over here. Okay, so that we will get the exact output. So over here we'll say base 64 image with mine is equal to await convert image to base 64 and then pass this output. Okay, and the last will simply return the response. I think we already returned the response, so you don't need to do. So over here, once we pass it, it will save it into the Firebase, and then I will remove this, and then we are returning the result. Okay. Also, one more important thing, so that you are inside the components in the pricing section, make sure you are making, or you are on the button click, you are passing this correct value. Okay, so this title and all. Okay, I think that's all. Let's test this out. So I will go back over here. I will just rename to something else. Let's say coffee house. Here we'll say coffee shop, then continue. You can select the color, and over here you have different option to select. Let's select this vintage. Okay, and select continue. Now it will generate the idea. So over here, if you see, we have this coffee beans hand drawn or something like this, vintage coffee cup. I think let's select these beans hand drawn. Okay, and click continue. Now in this case, I will open the inspect panel and the network tab as well, so that we can see. And obviously I will select the premium, so I will click generate for 1 credit, and then it will start. So obviously our AI model currently it is in the pending state, and boom, if you see, within just a 7-second. Okay, so let me, I don't know, yeah, so over here if you see, within just 7 seconds we got the output, and it's very quickly, right? And depends on our selection, we got this vintage style logo for us, and that's how you can do it. Now obviously if user is using the premium in order to generate the logo, then we have to make sure that we are going to update the user credit as well. So for that one, we are going to pass the one more field from the API called user detail or credits, we can say. So over here we'll pass user credit as user detail dot credits, and I will just verify that the name is credits. Okay, yeah, with a S and then once we pass this one, so that we can simply accept it here as a user credits. So make sure, so here I give the credit, I will make sure it's everywhere it's same, so I will make this as a credits only. And after that, inside this replicate, right, once we, and then simply over here we'll say await update doc, make sure you are importing that, and then here we'll pass a document reference. After that we're gonna pass the field which you want to update. So in this case we'll say credit, and we already have the user credits, and here we'll say -1. So make sure it is a number. Okay, and then we'll decrease means 1 credit from it, and then we'll update it, and that's how you can make an update. Okay, how easily. Now let's save everything, both the file, and then test this out. So I will go back to our page. Let me go over here. So let's create a new logo. We'll say medicine tracker, or we'll say med track. Over here, continue, we'll say medicine tracker mobile app. Continue, you can select the template which you want. Then we'll select this application logo, which is give you the exact logo for your application, and then it will generate the idea. Here if you see, we have some idea. Okay, so I will use this one and click continue. Now select the premium. Obviously we'll also monitor this and click generate for 1 credit. And here we have this beautiful logo, and it generated within a 7 to 8 seconds. How cool, right? And also if I go to our database, here you will see the credits which changes from 5 to 4. It means we are also able to update the user credit. Just one quick thing that we wanted to add, that whenever user generate with the premium selection, then we have to check the credit first, and then only we gonna allow user to execute the premium AI model. Okay, so in order to do that, simply inside this generate AI logo, or maybe we can directly add the logic over here as well. And another option, you can do it by just checking over here and adding the logic inside this. But let's add inside this generate AI logo, and over here we'll simply add if model type. If model type is equal to or not equal to, obviously is not equal to free, then we'll check if user has the credit or not. So over here only we can add, so user detail dot credits is greater than equal to 0, then only or here we can write a condition, if it is less than equal to 0, then we'll simply return nothing. And here we can show some kind of notification or toast message as well. For now I will just console it, and here we'll say not enough credits. Okay, so this condition is very important, because otherwise anyone can generate unlimited premium, right? So with this condition we can verify that okay, this particular user has less than equal to 0 credits, then we are not allow user to generate it. Okay, and we can show the toast message as well. So in order to show the toast message, simply go to the chat CN, and over here we have the component called toast. Also Sonar also have another component called Sonar, which is similar like a toast. Okay, so this is more easy to use, integrate. So first thing, you need to import this toast message, and then you need to add this toaster component inside the layout file. So inside our root layout we can add it here. Make sure to import this. Oops, sorry. So I think we need to import this manually, and let's save this one. Now in order to use it, you can just write Sonar, or we can write, I think, toast only. I think we are not installed successfully. Okay, so yeah, here I have to install it forcefully. I think now we are good. Now over here if I go to the toast, and here we can write not enough credits. Okay, and then save it, and that's all. Obviously whenever you have less than 0 credits, then it will make sure to go to localhost, it will make sure to show the toast notification. Now it's time to design the dashboard screen, where user can see how many credits left, and along with that all the logos which he created, so that later on he can come to the come to our application and get access to all the logo which he created and able to download it as well. So if you see, this mockup is quite simple and clean dashboard. So at the top we have the username, on the right hand side we have the user credit, how many credits left, and after that we're gonna give option to user which he can create the new logo, and then we're gonna show all the logo which he created along with the title and the description which we are already saving into our database. So let's create a new route. So inside this app folder, because we already have these two routes, we'll create another route called dashboard, and inside that we'll create a page.jsx file and we'll add a default template. We'll rename this to dashboard and then save this. Now over here for the dashboard I'm going to create two components. So over here we'll say first we'll create a folder called underscore component. So all the components related to the dashboard will keep inside this component folder. Over here we'll simply add info.jsx and then we'll add a default template. After that we'll add logo list.jsx and we'll add a default template for that. Now first let's add the info component, and after that we'll add a logo list component. For this one we'll add margin top to 20 and then save it. Now if I go to the dashboard screen, so over here I will just jump to the dashboard screen, and over here we have this two logo. Perfect. Now obviously we have this dashboard button which we've already added. So let's do first thing first, let's go to this info, and inside that first we'll get the user detail. So over here we'll get user detail from the hook is equal to use context, and then inside that we'll use user detail context. After that we just need to show the data. So over here we'll add h2 tag. I will add a div over here first, and then inside that we'll add hello and the name of the user, so which is we can get it from the user detail dot name. If I save this one, make sure it's optional field. If I save it and refresh the screen, okay, so we use the context, so we need to make this component on the client side so that we will not get this error, and if you see we have the name. Okay, next let me put this down, and over here obviously we'll add some font. So we'll make font bold, text 3XL, and we'll make text is of primary color. Perfect. After this we're gonna add the credit info. So over here we'll add a div because I want to show the image of the coin icon. So over here I already added this coin.png file into my public folder which we can access it. So we'll simply add /coin.png. I will give alt as a coin. We'll add a width of 40 and height of 40. Perfect. And we want this on the right hand side, right? So simply for this particular div we'll make it flex, and then we'll make justify between. We'll also make item to be in the center. Along with this image I'm going to add h2 tag for the credits, so that we can get it from the user detail dot credits. And here also we want to say left. Okay, so 3 credits left, something like that. I will say credit left, something like this. See, obviously we'll add some style for this one. So make class name font bold, text is of 3XL, and then I will keep the color as it is, but for this div we'll add a flex, item to be in the center, and gap to 2. Say, okay, so that's how it will look like. Next after this div we'll add another div. we'll simply say the word called dashboard, and then we'll add a button and we'll call it as a plus create new logo. Over here we'll add a class name, we'll make it flex, we'll make it justify between, and make sure to add item to be in the center. For this dashboard we'll add font bold, text is of 2XL, and we'll give margin top to 4. Say let's give margin little more margin, so make it 6. I think this is much better. Okay, now next, obviously on the click of this create new logo, we want to navigate to the new screen. So simply I am going to use a link reference, and we'll just navigate to the create page. So over here we say slash create, and that's all. Okay, so I think this need to be, so let me remove this link. This is icon is get inserted. We want this next slash link. Okay, now if I click this create new logo, it will jump to this create page where user can create a new logo as well. Next we want to fetch the all the logo list from the Firebase. So we can directly call the Firebase API on the client side. So go to the logo list. Over here we'll write a new method called constant get user logo and the arrow function. Inside here first we need a user detail context. So I will just copy this and we'll paste it here. Make sure to import this use context and the user detail context as well. After this, over here we call constant query snapshot, and we need to write a query. So over here we'll say await get docs, because we want to fetch a multiple document from the collection. So with that collection name we can write, and then the DB reference. Then we need to provide the collection name, which is users. After that we need to provide a document name, which nothing but the user email. So user detail dot email. Then we need to add a sub collection. So over here, if you remember, we have the collection, and then again we have the sub collection, right, which is the logo. So that sub collection name called logos, and that's all, because we want everything from that logo collection. And then let's make this async first, and after that we write query snapshot dot for each. Inside that we'll write doc and then arrow function. Inside here we'll console all the documents. So here we'll say document dot data. Okay, now let's execute this particular method inside the use effect. So whenever we have the user detail context with some data, then only we're gonna execute get user logo method. Okay, let's save it and let's go back to our application. Okay, so over here we need to make this on the client side, and now if I go to the inspect panel inside the console, and if you see, we got all the documents. Perfect, beautiful, right? Now obviously we need to save in one state. So over here we'll call constant logo list comma set logo list is equal to use state, and make sure it's empty initially. And obviously if you see, we are getting the document one by one, so in the same format we want to save. So first if you have any previous value, we'll destructure it, we'll save it, and then we'll add a new value from the doc.data. Okay, also we'll make sure the logo list is empty. Okay, and then we have the list. Let's save this one, and now let's display this list. So over here we'll add a div. I will just make sure margin top to 10, and inside this div we'll write a condition of if logo list dot length is greater than 0, then we'll do logo list dot map, we'll say logo comma index, and the arrow function. Otherwise, so over here we'll add a condition. Otherwise, I'm gonna show the skeleton effect, so something like this, okay, and here we'll say item comma index and the arrow function. Now inside here, first display this div. Inside this div tag we'll add a key as the index. Same thing I'm gonna do it over here as well. Now inside this div, first let's show the image. So we'll add image tag, the source tag, and from that we'll say logo dot image. Okay, then we'll give a width, let's say 400, the height, let's say 200, and the most important, we'll give a class name with the width of full, and we'll make rounded Excel. Let's save this one and let's say whether what we are getting. So if I refresh the screen now, so if you see, we got the list, but it's a little weird, right? So let's fix this one. So simply for this div, I'm going to add a class name. We'll make it grid column 2 when the screen size is smaller. When it's medium, we'll make grid column 3, and on large screen we'll make grid column 4. Also we're going to give a gap of 4, and now save this, and boom, if you see, we got this beautiful result. And the last one which we created is everything is showing on the screen. Also let's display the title. So inside this logo list, just below to that we'll add a title. So simply want to say logo dot title. Here we'll make class name, we'll make text to be in the center, we'll add a text large, and then we'll make font bold. Let's save it, and this is how it look like. Obviously we'll give some margin from the top. I think let's remove this font bold, and I think that's much better, or we can make font medium. After this, I want to show the description. So for the description, we'll say logo dot description. Over here as well, we'll add a class name. We'll make text smaller, and then text is of gray color. Perfect. Let's centerize this. So here we'll simply say text to be in the center. Okay, perfect. And now we have this beautiful grid with all the logo. Now whenever I hover any of the logo, we want to open it. So first we'll add a hover effect. So here we'll add hover, and we'll just scale it to 105 and make smooth animation. So add transition all, and we'll make cursor pointer. So whenever you hover on any of the image, this is how it will look like. Now obviously on the click, so over here let's add a link tag. So make sure you're importing from the Next.js/link, or instead of that one, let's do one thing. Let's add on click, and over here we'll say view logo. Here we'll pass logo dot image, because we want to pass which image you want to show, that image URL we want to pass, and then view logo we're going to call over here. So simply we'll say view logo, and here we'll say image. Now from this one, from the generate logo, I already have this view option, so I will just copy this one, and then inside the logo list we'll paste it here, and this is the image that I'm going to pass. That's all, and I think we are pretty much done. So over here, the last thing, we need to show the skeleton effect. So I will add a class name, we'll make a background slate 200, then we'll make it animate spin, so it will give you the skeleton effect. We'll make rounded Excel and width to be full. Let's save it and let's test this out. So if I scroll, refresh it, okay, so somehow it's not showing, and here we have error that all property, some issue with the all property. That's weird, but okay. So over here we did not provide the all properties, so let's provide that. So logo dot title, and I think we forgot to provide the height. So over here I will provide the height of 200 pixel, and now if I refresh, you will see, oh, it's spinning. Actually we don't want spin, we want a pulse effect. So my bad, so it need to be a pulse effect. And now if I refresh, you will see this beautiful skeleton effect, and then we are getting the result. And if I open any of the image, it's opening in new tab, so where you can able to download this any logo. Okay, and as I say, it's completely responsive. See, perfect, right? So obviously you can check that, and obviously whenever you add a new logo and use the premium option, obviously credit will get update immediately. Now it's time to deploy our application on the cloud so that you can share this project with your friends and family, and also you can start earning real money. So first let's go to the github.com, and we are going to push our code to the GitHub, and then we are going to connect it to the Vercel. So on the github.com, I will create a new repo and I will give it a name as a AI logo generator. Then you can make it public or private and simply create repo. After this, you need to set the remote origin to this particular repo. So simply let's go back to our application, and I will add a new terminal over here. First we'll initialize the git by using command git init, which will initialize the git inside this project, and then you can easily set the remote origin with that particular command. After that, you need to add or stage all the file by using this particular command, and then we'll commit the all the code with some message. And as you are pushing it, very first time you need to push with this particular command, and later on you can just push it with git push whenever you make some changes. And if you see, our code is now successfully pushed to the GitHub. If I refresh this repo, you will see our code is just now pushed. Okay, so we are ready with our code. Now simply go to the vercel.com, and it's completely free, and it's very easy to deploy your any kind of project. If you see, I deploy almost each of my project on a Vercel. So simply once you are on the dashboard screen, here you will find an option called add new. Click on the project, and then you will jump on this particular section where you can connect your GitHub repository. So right now I connected my GitHub repo, and then I can able to see my project at the top. Simply click import, then you can give the project name. After that, it automatically detect the framework, and most important thing, under this environment variable we need to add all the environment variable key which we added inside this .env file. So from this .env I will copy all these environment variable keys and simply paste it here. The Vercel automatically detect the key and their respective value, and then simply click deploy. Now once the deployment start, it will build your lock, then it will add all the dependency, and then it will assign the custom domain, and it will deploy your application. So we'll wait to complete this deployment, and boom, if you see, our application is now live and it's showing the preview over here, and this is the current URL. Obviously anytime you can update this URL by going to the settings, and if I open this URL, and if you see, we have this beautiful landing screen, and then you can start generating the logo from here. Okay, obviously all authentication, every part will work as expected.